Welcome back to Mythos Meadow English, a gentle place where stories settle softly and where English becomes not just a language to learn, but a landscape to feel. Today we're exploring a topic that touches more lives than we can imagine, a quiet shadow following millions of people in modern times. We're talking about burnout, the deep exhaustion that sits at the intersection of work, emotion, and identity. Burnout is not simply being tired, is not something a weekend getaway or an extra cup of coffee can fix. It is a more profound kind of emptiness, a slow draining of your inner resources until one day you realize you're walking, speaking, and working on autopilot, disconnected from yourself. The concept of burnout was introduced decades ago to describe emotional collapse among helping professionals, doctors, nurses, and social workers, those who pour so much of themselves into the world that they gradually lose their own emotional balance. But as life accelerated and demands multiplied, burnout spread far beyond those professions. Today, it affects office workers, teachers, engineers, designers, managers, freelancers, students, and parents, anyone who is pressured to constantly perform, to constantly be strong, to constantly keep moving. Burnout rarely begins dramatically. Instead, it whispers. It comes quietly through small shifts, a morning that feels heavier than usual, a task that takes longer than it used to, a decreasing interest in activities that once brought joy. You brush it off because you think it's just a temporary phase. Just a busy month, you say. But the tiredness grows. The spark inside flickers. And slowly, the world feels muted. According to the World Health Organization, burnout is marked by three dimensions: emotional exhaustion, detachment from your work or surroundings, and a reduced sense of accomplishment. Emotional exhaustion is not just physical fatigue. It is a deep, internal dryness where even small things feel overwhelming. Detachment means feeling disconnected from tasks, colleagues, or even yourself. And the reduced sense of accomplishment is the painful belief that you're no longer capable or effective, that your efforts don't matter, that no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. These feelings don't come out of nowhere. The modern world pushes people into a rhythm that is fast, demanding, and often dehumanizing. Notifications blur the boundary between work and rest. Competition makes people believe they must always go the extra mile. Productivity becomes a measure of worth. And somewhere inside this relentless pressure, humanity begins to fade. Interestingly, burnout is not just a result of working long hours. It also comes from emotional labor, the effort required to remain calm, polite, patient, or cheerful even when you're stressed or hurting inside. It comes from perfectionism, the belief that you must never make mistakes, that you must always maintain a high standard, and that resting is irresponsible. It comes from environments where people feel undervalued, unsupported, or powerless to change their circumstances. To understand burnout more deeply, let's walk into the story of Anna, a fictional character, but her experience represents many. Anna was 28 when she landed what she thought was her dream job in a creative agency. She was excited, hungry to prove herself, and full of fresh energy. At first, everything seemed perfect. She volunteered for extra tasks, replied to messages late at night, and tried to exceed every expectation. Her managers admired her dedication. Her co-workers praised her reliability. She felt proud. But slowly, something shifted. She found herself waking up exhausted, no matter how early she slept. She skipped meals because she had no appetite. She felt anxious whenever she heard the email notification sound. Her chest tightened when she saw her to-do list. She could barely fall asleep, her mind replaying unfinished tasks and conversations over and over. One day, her manager approached her and said, "Anna, we really need you on this new project. You're the best person for this." She smiled and agreed. But inside, she felt something crack gently, like thin glass under pressure. She didn't want to be seen as weak. She didn't want to disappoint anyone. So she pushed harder. Her creativity began to fade. She made mistakes. She felt her confidence collapsing. One afternoon, she stared at her computer screen, unable to understand the sentence she herself had written. The letters blurred. Her hands trembled. She walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and cried silently, the kind of cry that comes not from sadness, but from pure exhaustion. She Googled her symptoms at night. Everything pointed to burnout, but she told no one. She kept going until one day, she fainted at work. That moment forced her to stop, forced her to finally listen to her body. She took time off. She talked to a therapist. She slowly began healing, not quickly, not easily, but steadily. She learned to rest without guilt. She learned that she was human. She realized she had been carrying more weight than anyone should carry alone. But burnout has another layer, what happens after the collapse. Even when the body begins to recover, the mind lingers in fear. Many people describe a strange aftertaste, a sensitivity to stress, a hesitation to trust their own abilities again. They worry that one wrong step will bring everything crashing down once more. This fear is normal. Post-burnout sensitivity is your body's new way of warning you before things go too far. Some people also feel guilt during recovery, guilt for resting, for not being productive, for slowing down. But guilt is only the echo of old conditioning. Rest is not a reward, it is a necessity. Just like forests need quiet seasons, humans need replenishment. No one can thrive while constantly pushing themselves beyond their limits. Burnout often shakes your identity. Many people tie their sense of worth to their achievements. When burnout forces them to pause, they feel empty, confused, and unsure of who they are without productivity. But this is the doorway to rediscovery. You begin learning that you are more than your output. You are a living, feeling, changing being who deserves care simply because you exist. Healing from burnout includes rediscovering joy in small things, the warmth of sunlight through a window, the comfort of a slow morning, the sweetness of a peaceful walk, and the presence of someone who listens without judgment. You begin to move at a pace that feels more human, more natural. You learn to breathe again. Some people, after burnout, change their jobs, adjust their routines, or redefine their goals. Others stay in the same environment, but start setting healthier boundaries. Burnout doesn't always mean you must start over. Sometimes it means you must treat yourself differently within the life you already have. The most profound lesson burnout teaches is that your worth is not something you earn, is something you already carry. You are not valuable because of your productivity. You are valuable because you are alive. When you truly absorb this, burnout slowly loses its power. Recovery takes time. It is not linear. Some days you feel strong, others you feel fragile. But each small improvement matters. Burnout is not the end. It is an invitation, a call to live more gently, more intentionally, and more truthfully. A call to protect your energy, your heart, and your inner light. If you're experiencing burnout or sense that you're nearing it, please know this: you're not broken. You're not weak. You're exhausted, and exhaustion deserves compassion, not criticism. Allow yourself to rest, to pause, to breathe, to reconnect with the parts of yourself that have been waiting quietly beneath the noise. Thank you for spending this moment with Mythos Meadow English. If this story reached you, maybe it's because your heart needed it. You deserve ease. You deserve kindness. You deserve to heal.